عليك بطرق الهدى ولا يضرك قلة السالكين، وإياك وطرق الضلالة ولا تغتر بكثرة الهالكين.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا، من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد, this is a clarification that I felt needed to spread as it relates to recent statements that were spread on social media that related to Tahir White and Shadid Muhammad. And obviously, or it's possible that people are aware that some individuals took that WhatsApp conversation and that voice message which I sent to a brother on WhatsApp, and he was going to play it with a group of individuals in his company for their benefit. And that was my intention. It wasn't that it was a bayan or it was a clarification for the world, but it was for a group of brothers that were going to be in the company of one another. But because it spread, then I feel that there's a need to clarify what I said and what I intended and why I said it. Really, this is from our deen. And the origin and the asl of da'wah is that we are clear. The asl of da'wah and teaching is that we are clear and we clarify to the people the religion. So those individuals who felt the need to respond to a WhatsApp voice message and spend more than an hour in refutation of that message and give it a title of 70 mistakes in 7 minutes. And in reality, in their video, which is over an hour, likewise the Twitter, or the tweets on Twitter and Facebook and the likes of that, all of that for a 7-minute WhatsApp message, if they feel that it's justified, then their affair is with Allah Azza wa Jal. And I will not respond. The purpose of this clarification is not to respond to their claims. The purpose of this clarification is to clarify to the people the truth as it relates to this affair of the religion. And that is clarification and being clear and explaining so that the people are not confused, so that the people are not in doubt, so that the people are not misguided. This is a very important and this is a vital foundation in our religion, and it's from the fundamentals of the religion of Islam, as we will explain in the lecture bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And the brothers, it's not surprising that they would take this manner of refutation, because one can sense in their speech and in their manner and in their dishonesty on Twitter, Facebook, and the likes, of giving a title of 70 mistakes in 70 minutes. But when you listen to the content, and we don't advise any to listen to the content, but if you listen to the content, you mention 5 or 6 issues which you feel is a mistake, but the title is 70 mistakes in 7 minutes, which is deceiving. So you haven't been honest to the people. You haven't been honest to the public. Unless an individual wants to sit down and try to extract 70 mistakes just to be able to support their claim, and once again, this is from dishonesty. But unfortunately, this is the likes, or this is the reality of individuals who have pride and individuals who exalt themselves. As was mentioned by Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, ألا ترى أن الذي يعذب نفسه بالباطل يريد أن ينصر كل ما قال ولو كان خطأ. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, do you not see that the person who exalts himself with falsehood, he will seek to prove everything which he believes, even if it is incorrect. And there's no doubt that putting a title, 70 mistakes in 7 minutes, is batil. And it's not something that, it's not something which is accurate, but it's an individual trying to deceive the people, and it's an individual trying to help himself. We seek refuge in Allah from that. Likewise, the statement of Imam Ibn Hibban rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, إنه لا يتكبر على أحد حتى يعجب بنفسه ويرى على غيرها الفضل. Imam Ibn Hibban rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned in the book that the individual does not exalt himself over others until he admires himself and he feels that he is better than others. So this is the affair, wallahu a'lam, of those individuals, because you can see it in the manner of refutation and in the title itself. In the title itself, and this is from lack of humbleness. Those individuals should understand the affair that I'm about to explain to the public as it relates to the fundamentals of Islam, and as it relates to refutation against the people of falsehood. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, we will explain it over the next few minutes, and we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us sincere and to guide us in our statements and our actions. One of the principles and from the greatest fundamentals of Islam, and as I said, from the greatest fundamentals of Islam, is that it is upon the teacher of Islam to clarify and to teach and to direct and guide the people. This is an obligation which is upon the teacher in Islam. And it is not permissible for a teacher to remain silent, especially when there is a major need. And this obligation is mentioned by our Lord Tabarak wa Ta'ala in Surah Al Imran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ لَتُبَيِّنُنَّهُ لِلنَّاسِ وَلَا تَكْتُمُونَ فَنَبَذُوهُ وَرَاءَ ظُهُورِهِمْ وَاشْتَرَوْا بِهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا فَبِئْسَ مَا يَشْتَرُونَ. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ. When Allah Azza wa Jalla has taken the oath from those who He has given the book, those who the book has been given to, that they may clarify to the people, and it is not for them to conceal it. So they placed it behind their backs. They placed it behind their backs to the end of the ayat. To the end of the ayat. Al-Allama, Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned concerning this verse, وَهَذَا الْمِيثَاقَ أَخَذَهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَلَى كُلِّ مَنْ أَعْطَاهُ اللَّهُ الْكُتُبِ وعلمه العلم أن يبين للناس ما يحتاجون إليه مما علمه الله ولا يكتمهم ذلك ويبخل عليهم به خصوصا إذا سألوه أو وقع ما يوجب ذلك. فإن كل من عنده علم يجب عليه في تلك الحالة أن يبينه ويوضح الحق من الباطل. Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, this is the covenant that Allah Azza wa Jal has taken with every individual that Allah has given books. And Allah has taught them that they have to clarify it to the people. They have to clarify the knowledge to the people, that which they're in need of, from that which Allah has taught him. And the people that Allah has given the books, the people of knowledge.
And it is not for them to conceal it or to be miserly with the knowledge. Specifically, more specifically, listen to the speech of Shaykh Abdurrahman al-Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala, and more specifically, if they ask him about it, or if an occurrence takes place that mandates his clarification. Or an occurrence takes place that mandates his clarification. For verily, everyone who has knowledge, everyone that Allah Azza wa Jal has bestowed knowledge upon, as the people of knowledge, it is upon them in this situation. Which situation? The people have asked, the people need it, or the people have asked, or an occurrence has occurred, and an instance has occurred that mandates him to speak. It is upon him to speak and to clarify the truth and to make it distinct from that which is falsehood. And to make it distinct from the falsehood. So this is a mithaq. This is a covenant that Allah Azza wa Jal has taken with the people of knowledge. Allah Azza wa Jal is talking about the people of the book, the people of the past. But it is for everyone that Allah Azza wa Jal, it's clear from the speech of Shaykh Abdurrahman al-Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala, it is for everyone that Allah Azza wa Jal has bestowed knowledge upon, from the people of knowledge, it is upon them to speak the truth. It is upon them to clarify, especially when they are asked about it, especially when the people are in need of it, especially when something takes place that mandates clarification. Likewise, Sheikh Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymeen, rahimahullah ta'ala, mentioned in his explanation of Surah Al-Imran that from the fawaid of this verse is that Allah Azza wa Jal أخذ على أهل العلم العهد بديان العلم وعدم كتمانه. That Allah Azza wa Jal has taken an oath upon the people of knowledge in clarification of the truth and not concealing it. And he says, and I'm summarizing his speech, التحذير من كتمان العلم لأن الله ذكر ذلك على سبيل الذم لا على سبيل المدح. That in this verse there is a warning in concealing the knowledge, because Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned this as an admonition, not as a praise, in the form of admonishment, not as praise. And then the Shaykh Habib Allah rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, وقد جاء عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من سئل عن علم علمه ثم كتمه ألجم يوم القيامة بلجام من نار. The hadith. Then Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, it has come a narration from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where he said, whoever is asked about knowledge and he has that knowledge, but he conceals it, he will be rained with rains from the hellfire on the day of judgment. He will be rained, his mouth would be shackled or tied or wrapped with rains from the hellfire on the day of judgment. The Shaykh says, نعوذ بالله من. We seek refuge in Allah from this punishment. أي أنه من كتم العلم ولم ينطق به فإنه يجعل له يوم القيامة لجام يلجم به على فمه لسكوته عن بيان العلم. Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala said, we seek refuge in Allah from this. What is intended is that the person who conceals knowledge and does not voice it, the clarification, the knowledge, this individual on the days of judgment, reins will be taken from the hellfire and they will be wrapped around his mouth, or they will be placed in his mouth, due as a punishment for him being silent about the knowledge. As a punishment for him being silent about the knowledge. Likewise, Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala says, number 3, وجوب بيان العلم على أهل العلم ليبينوا العلم الذي آتاهم الله. That this verse also clarifies the obligation of clarification. This verse also proves the obligation of clarifying knowledge upon the people of knowledge, that they have to clarify the knowledge which Allah has given them. To clarify the knowledge which Allah has given them. So those were some of the statements of the scholars of tafsir with regards to this verse and the obligation of speaking with the knowledge. So we understand the importance of clarifying for the people. And you get this also from other verses in the Quran. مثلا where Allah says, فَاسْتَعْ بِمَا تُؤْمَرْ وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. Yani, propagate that which you have been ordered. Propagate that which you have been ordered. The Prophet ﷺ was ordered by his Lord Ta'ala to propagate, to clarify, to make things clear.
Also from the verses in the Quran which clarify the importance of enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, and the fact that this is from the foundations of our religion, is the statement of Allah Azza wa Jalla in Surah Al Imran, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله ولو آمن أهل الكتاب لكان خير لهم منهم المؤمنون وأكثرهم الفاسقون. The verse where Allah Azza wa Jalla said, you are the best of the people that have been taken out for the people. Allah Azza wa Jalla has described the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with khayriyah. Allah has described the ummah of Muhammad that they are upon khayr, they are the best. They are better than others. They are the best of the ummahs. Then Allah Azza wa Jal explains why. تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَلَى الْمُنْكَرِ. You enjoin the good and you forbid the evil. So this khayriyah that Allah Azza wa Jal has described the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is because of several reasons. And from those reasons, the first reason that Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned is enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. And you believe in Allah. So Iman, Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned because of two reasons. The first of them being the belief in Allah Azza wa Jal, or from them, the belief of Allah Azza wa Jal, and the second reason being the enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. This is the reason why we are the best. So it's from the fundamentals and the foundations of our religion. Al-Imam al-Shaykh Abdul Rahman ibn Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, هذا تفضيل من الله لهذه الأمة بهذه الأسباب التي تميزوا بها وفاقوا بها سائر الأمم. That this is the preference that Allah Azza wa Jal has bestowed upon this ummah based on these reasons, which by way of these reasons they are distinguished and they are foremost. They're excellent, they're distinguished, they're foremost over the other nations. وَأَنَّهُمْ خَيْرُ النَّاسِ لِلنَّاسِ. Listen to the statement of Shaykh Abdul Rahman rahimahullah ta'ala. And they are the best of the people for the people. They are the best of the people for the people. Then what does he say? In what aspects? نصحا ومحبة للخير ودعوة وتعليما وإرشادا وأمرا بالمعروف ونهيا عن المنكر. All of these factors that Shaykh Abdul Rahman mentioned, rahimahullah ta'ala, are very important. So he said, rahimahullah ta'ala, so they are the best of the people for the people in guidance and love for good for them and propagation and teaching and guidance and joining the good, forbidding the evil. All of these factors make them the best of the people for the people. Because of that which they do, that which they fulfill, of their sincerity, their love of good. They're calling them, they're teaching them, they're guiding them, enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. They're clearing the path for the people. They're directing the people to that which is of good for them. them ordering them with good and forbidding them from evil. وجمعا بين تكميل الخلق والسعي في منافعهم بحسب الإمكان. And then combining between completion of the creation and being diligent in bringing about good for them according to their ability. They want good for the people. They want the people to be guided. They want the people to be directed. They want the people to be upon istiqamah. وبين تكميل النفس بالإيمان بالله والقيام بحقوق الإيمان. And likewise, in completion of themselves through faith in Allah and implementing the rights of Allah Azza wa Jal. So they try their best to guide the people to that which is of benefit for the people. And they try to complete themselves and guide their own souls to salvation with faith in Allah Azza wa Jal and fulfilling the rights of Iman. This is the way of the believers. And at the foremost of them, the ways of the teachers, the callers, the propagators. They want good for the people. They want the people to be directed. They want the people to remain upon that which the Prophet ﷺ said, تَرَكْتُكُمْ عَلَى الْبَيْضَاءِ لَيْلُهَا كَنَهَارِهَا لَا يَزِيغُ عَنْهَا إِلَّا حَالِكَ. Prophet ﷺ said, I have left you upon that which is clear. Its night is distinct from its day. No one deviates from it. No one deviates from it except that he is destroyed. So our beloved Messenger ﷺ has left us upon clarity. He has left us sallallahu alayhi wa sallam upon that which is clear. It is distinct and it is clear. And no one deviates from it. So the people should understand. People should comprehend. The people should realize that it is upon us to clarify the path for the people. It is upon us to remind the people and to call them to that which the Prophet ﷺ has left us upon. And part of that is clarifying for them the deviation and clarifying for them the paths which are not pleasing to Allah Azza wa Jal, the paths that lead to the shayateen, the paths that lead to the hellfire. This is a part of our religion. It is not something that we can deny. It is not something that we can turn our backs on. It is an important part of our religion. Our beloved Messenger ﷺ, and this is something we must explain to our dear brothers and sisters, because unfortunately you have individuals in the ummah today, they want to compromise this aspect of our religion. They want to compromise this aspect of our religion. They don't want to speak bad about anyone. They don't want to have confrontations with anyone. They just want to call to the khair. But those individuals forget that our beloved Messenger ﷺ warned, and our beloved Messenger ﷺ clarified. Our beloved Messenger ﷺ, he warned and he clarified and he guided. And this is from sincerity for the people. This is from sincerity for the people. Just as our beloved Messenger ﷺ called to the Tawheed and he called to the good character, but likewise an important aspect of the da'wah of our Messenger ﷺ is to warn against the evil. Yani up until his last days, or the Prophet ﷺ warned about that which would take place on our last days. And indeed, we know that we're living in the last days. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned, يكون في آخر الزمان دجالون كذابون يأتونكم من الأحاديث بما لم تسمعوا أنتم ولا آباؤكم. In the latter days, in the hadith of Abu Hurairah in Sahih Muslim, our beloved Messenger ﷺ said, during the latter days there would be dajjalun, kadhabun, individuals that are complete liars. They're deceivers. They lie. They will bring to you narrations that you've never heard before, nor have your forefathers have ever heard. Beware of them. Do not allow la yudillunakum wa la yuftinunakum. SubhanAllah, the Prophet ﷺ said, do not allow them to lead you astray, nor allow them to cause fitna for you. Allahu Akbar. Look at that statement of our beloved Messenger ﷺ. He gave us clear traits of these individuals. After reprimanding them, after calling them dajjalun, kadhabun,
Yeah, they're guiding us astray. They're guiding the people astray in the religion. They're guiding the people on a path that's not the path of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He called them as liars, distinct liars. And then what did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say that clarifies for us how to identify them? They say to you statements you've never heard before. People of the Sunnah, we're not in the Sunnah. Individuals who claim to call to the Sunnah, individuals who have studied abroad, we haven't heard these statements of bigotry before. We haven't heard this in the Sunnah. People calling to the uplift of the black Muslim. People being angry and upset and bothered because a white student of knowledge has refuted the nation of Islam. This is foreign to the people of the Sunnah. The people of Bid'ah, it's common. The people of the Sunnah, this is foreign. The Prophet ﷺ said they will come to you with narrations that you've never heard before, nor have your fathers heard before. Then what did the Prophet ﷺ say? La yudillunakum, they should not guide you astray. Don't allow them to guide you astray. Hold on to your deen. Hold on to your foundations. Those people are guiding you astray. They're calling to you to a foreign path. And you have those that are supporting them. And you have those that are joining them. And you have those that are appraising them. SubhanAllah. وَلَا يَفْتِنُونَكُمْ, and do not allow them to be a fitna for you. Do not allow them to be a trial for you. Look what we have today. It's become a trial. It's become a trial for the people of the Sunnah. It's become a trial for the people that are shaky, the people that are unsure. Where are the foundations? We know this is from our deen. We know this is from our deen. My dear brothers, our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very diligent, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very diligent even up until the time of his death sallallahu alaihi wasallam in warning the Muslims against the deviant path, warning the Muslims against shirk, warning the Muslims against the Khawarij, warning the Muslims against the Ubad al-Qubur up until the time of his death, as you have in the hadith of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, reported in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, while the Prophet في مرضه الذي مات فيه, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha said as a result of during the time that he was afflicted with the illness that led to his death, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لَعْنَ اللَّهُ الْيَهُودَ وَالنَّصَارَى اتَّخَذُوا قُبُورَ أَنْبِيَائِهِمْ مَسَاجِدَ. And from the last words of our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a warning against the Jews and the Christians. From the last words of our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may Allah curse the Jews, and may the curse of Allah be upon the Jews and the Christians. They took the graves of their prophets as masajid, as places of worship. And Aisha said, يُحَذِّرُ مَا صَنَعُوا. He was warning against that which they did. Why? Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ knew that he was about to die, alayhi salatu wasalam. So he wanted to give a warning that the Muslims would hold on to, because there was an occurrence that was going to take place that they would need this information. They would need this bayan. They would need this clarification. They would need this clarification. لا يجوز تأخير البيان عن وقت الحاجة. It's not permissible to delay the clarification at the time of need. When there's a time of need, you clarify. You make it clear. You guide. You teach. You do it because of sincerity. You do it so because of love. You do it so because of guidance. This is our religion. But individuals these days, from the way of the mumayyi'een, the individuals that water down and compromise their deen, don't speak bad. This is not the time to speak bad. Don't speak about others. Don't refute others, whether they're groups, Muslim deviant groups, whether they're kuffar, whether they're open sinners. Don't speak about anyone. Just spread the good. Is this from our religion? Now, I'm not saying that there's no time where an individual can be quiet. I'm not saying that there's no time. The reality is, if there's going to be darar, if there's going to be harm, it's possible that the scholars advise an individual to be silent if there's going to be greater harm. But what is the greater harm?
What is the greater harm? Help us understand what is the greater harm. Or is this a manhaj of tamyir? Is this a manhaj of compromising? Is this a manhaj of watering down the religion? Is this a manhaj of put aside our differences with the kuffar and the deviants and the open sinners? Let's put aside our differences and let's come together and join and participate and cooperate in that which we agree. Yani, and that which we agree is the war against the people of the Sunnah. That which we cooperate on now is the war against the people of the Sunnah. And we're silent about the innovators, and we're silent about the deviants, and we're silent about the sinners.
So going back to that which I mentioned about the individual, Tahir, and this, for the people to be clear, this individual was requested to give a lecture, and this was some time ago. This individual was requested to give a lecture for the Nation of Islam. This individual gave the lecture, and maybe he feels that there's some maslahah in it, to call them to Islam, or the likes, Allahu Alam. But after that individual gave a lecture, you had Louis Farrakhan, who is the head of the Nation of Islam, knowing, and we know his disbelief, and we know his deviation. And so Louis Farrakhan thanked Tahir and mentioned about the spirit of unity. He mentioned about the spirit of unity. So here we have, and go back to that principle, the obligation of clarifying the knowledge, the obligation of clarifying the truth. Here we have a lecture being given to this group. And then we have the leader of that group. The leader of that group thanking you, praising you, and then mentioning the spirit of unity. So does this mean that the people of the Sunnah have now united with the Nation of Islam? Does this mean that we have left alone our differences, and now that we have united? This needs to be clarified for the people. This needs to be clarified for the people, because it's an obligation from Allah Azza wa Jal that we clarify the affairs for the people. And this is from the foundations of our religion. Indeed, our beloved Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, as we know in the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, hadith, it's famous in the hadith of Imam al-Nawawi, before the hadith of Imam al-Nawawi. But the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Man ra'a minkum munkaran, falyughayyirhu biyadi, fa'in lam yastati' فبلسانه فإن لم يستطيع فبقلبه وذلك أضعف الإيمان." Whoever sees something wrong and evil, then is upon that individual to change it with his hand. If he does not have the ability, then he should change it with his tongue. If he does not have the ability, then he should hate it in his heart, and this is the weakest level of Iman. So the wrong issue here is that now Farrakhan has hinted at unity. Are we actually united? Are the people of the Sunnah and the Nation of Islam united? This needs to be clarified for the people. At least an individual should come with a statement that clarifies that the Nation of Islam are disbelievers. You feel there's a maslahah in giving them a lecture? You feel that there's a maslahah in giving them a lecture? Maybe the leader or the followers will come to Islam. But now the leader has associated himself with you. He has associated himself with you by mentioning the spirit of unity. So now it's upon you to free yourself from the beliefs of this group. Free yourself from the leader of this group. It is not permissible to remain silent. In some way or form, you have to free yourself from their beliefs. You have to clarify their beliefs so that the people are not misguided. And that is very important. You had likewise this hadith. So we mentioned the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anhu. Likewise, there's another version of this hadith which is reported in the Sunan of Imam al-Nasa'i, and it is graded authentic by Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala. "Man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyirhu biyadi faqad buri'a. Wa man lam yastati' an yughayyirhu biyadi فيغيره بلسانه فقد برئ ومن لم يستطع أن يغيره بلسانه فيغيره بقلبه فقد برئ وذلك أضعف الإيمان. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in this narration which is reported in the Sunan of An-Nasa'i, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, whoever sees an evil, then he should change it with his hand. And he is free from blame. If he does not change it with his hand, then he should change it with his tongue. And he is free from blame. But if he's not able to change it with his tongue, then he should hate it with his heart. And he is free from blame. And this is the weakest level of faith. And this is the weakest level of faith. It was mentioned by Imam Al-Hafiz ibn Rajab rahimahullah ta'ala in his book Jami' al-Ulum wal-Hikm. He mentioned وقوله صلى الله عليه وسلم في الذي ينكر بقلبه, the statement of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم about the hadith of the person hating the evil with their heart, وذلك أضعف الإيمان, and that this is the weakest form of iman. يدل على أن الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر من خصال الإيمان. Al-Hafiz ibn Rajab rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned about this hadith. This hadith indicates that enjoining the good and forbidding the evil is from the characteristics and the traits and the components of faith. It's from the components of faith. Likewise, it was mentioned by Imam Ibn Nahas rahimahullah ta'ala. It was mentioned by Imam Ibn Nahas rahimahullah ta'ala. He's from the Salafi, died the year 814. In his book Tanbih al-Ghafilin, he said, وَفِيهِ الدَّلِيلُ الْوَاضِحُ على أن من استطاع الإنكار فلم ينكر أنه غير بريء من الإثم. He said, in this hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, whether the narration of Sahih Muslim or the narration of Imam al-Nasa'i, he said, in this hadith is a clear proof that the individual who does not reprimand, the individual who does not forbid the evil, the individual who does not, he says, this hadith is a clear proof that the individual who has the ability but does not reprimand the evil, then this individual is not free of blame. This individual is not free of sin, nor of blame. بل هو شريك فيه. But in fact, he has participated in the evil. In fact, he has participated in the evil. Why? Because this individual has the ability to speak. This individual has the ability to clarify that this is wrong, their beliefs are wrong. The open sin which is witnessed by, some, it's wrong. So the innovation, the disbelief, the open sin, it's wrong. It's wrong, but the individual chooses to remain silent. What does Imam Ibn Nahas rahimahullah ta'ala say? He said that if the individual has the ability but he does not, this hadith is a clear proof that the individual is to blame and he's a part of the sin. And he becomes a part of the sin. So this is from the fundamentals of our Islam, that you make inkar upon the munkar, that you enjoin the good and you forbid the evil. It's from the fundamentals of our religion. So what I was mentioning, and this is not for myself, this is not defense of Muṣṭafá. Walillahi alhamd, I don't feel that I need to defend myself, but what I meant by that, and I said it on the audio, was that Tahir needs to free himself of these people. What the brothers continue to repeat is from the praise, and they strike examples that are far from the issue at hand. I said he needs to free himself from the people, the beliefs of the people, the actions of the people. The praise, who cares about the praise? We're talking about their actions. The individuals, the likes of Farrakhan, the likes of Shadid Muhammad, they have associated themselves. They have established an association with this individual. That can't be denied. Louis Farrakhan said the spirit of unity. How can you say that there's no association? Whether from Tahir's side or from his side, we're saying that an apparent association has been established. So an individual has to clarify. Especially going back to what Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Sa'di said, rahimahullah ta'ala, especially when you're asked about it or there's a need for it or an occurrence takes place that mandates it. And from that time to now, the fitna continues about it. Why doesn't a person correct that? Why doesn't a person clarify that? Now, likewise, it was mentioned by Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala in his Majmu' al-Fatawa. والداعي إلى البدعة مستحق للعقوبة باتفاق المسلمين. He said the one who calls to innovation, and he definitely Farrakhan, and individuals who call to racism and the like, yes, this is innovation. Something foreign. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned that there will be a zaman يحدثونكم بما لم تسمعوا أنتم ولا آباؤكم. Prophet ﷺ said there will come a time that individuals will call you to things that you've never heard before. You nor your fathers, nor your forefathers. And he identifying scholars through our spectacles and not the spectacles of individuals that don't look like us. This is foreign to us. In Salafiyyah, amongst the people of the Sunnah, this is something which is completely foreign. So this is someone calling and promoting it. And we'll mention that toward the end, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And inshallah, by the permission of Allah, I plan to not take more than 30 minutes. So, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَدَّعِي إِلَى الْبِدْعَةِ مُسْتَحِقٌ لِلْعُقُوبَةِ. The one who calls to his innovation, openly calls to his innovation, there's no doubt. There's no doubt about this. The one who openly calls to his innovation, he is deserving of punishment, and there is consensus amongst the Muslims about this. There is consensus amongst the Muslims about this. Then he talked about what type of punishment. Then further on, down, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَلَوْ قُدِرَ أَنَّهُ لَا يَسْتَحِقُّ الْعُقُوبَةِ أو لا يمكن عقوبته فلا بد من بيان بدعته والتحذير منها فإن هذا من جملة الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر الذي أمر الله به رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, and if it was possible that the individual does not, let's say the level of innovation, he's a caller to it, but the level of innovation does not mandate that he's punished by the ruler, not by the layman, by the ruler, right? He said, but if it takes place, that the individual does not deserve a punishment, or it's not possible to punish him. Who? The caller to innovation, the open caller to innovation. Then it becomes mandatory. So if he doesn't deserve a punishment, or it's not possible to punish him, then the least that should be done is to clarify his innovation and to warn from it. It's to clarify his innovation and to warn from it. For verily, this is from the obligation or the fundamentals of enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, which Allah has ordered, which Allah Azza wa Jal has ordered, which Allah has ordered and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which Allah has ordered and His Prophet. So Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala is clearly informing that it is upon the people of knowledge to clarify, to warn against the people who are open with their innovation. The people are open with their innovation. And we know the affair of Louis Farrakhan. So why the silence? That was the point I was making. Another statement by Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala. وَلِهَذَا لَمْ يَكُنْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِ بِالْبِدْعِ وَالْفُجُورِ غِيبَةً كَمَا رُوِيَ ذَلك عن حسن البصري وغيره لأنه لما أعلن ذلك استحق عقوبة المسلمين له وأدنى ذلك أن يضم عليه لينزجر ويكف الناس عنه وعن مخالفته ولو لم يضم ويذكر بما فيه من الفجور والمعصية أو البدعة لاغتر به الناس وربما حمل بعضهم على أن يرتكب ما هو عليه ويزداد أيضا هو جرأة وفجورا ومعاصي. فإذا ذكر بما فيه انكف وانكف غيره عن ذلك وعن صحبته ومخالطته. This is to the end of his speech. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned, and because of this, because of, you know, the affair of a person being open with his innovation and his deviance, and because of this, there is no crime in making ghiba of the person who is open with his innovation and his sins. Person who is open, he doesn't care, with his innovation and his sins. There's no crime in speaking ill about this individual. Like has been transmitted from Hassan al-Basri, Imam Hassan ibn Abi al-Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah ta'ala, and others than him. Because once this individual has made his innovation or deviation or sins public, he has made it public. There's no shyness. Once he has made it public, then this individual deserves to be punished by the Muslims. And once again, by the ruler. It's not that the people punish him, it's the ruler. But he deserves the punishment. And the minimum that can be done is that he should be admonished so that he can stop. So he can be admonished so that he can stop. And notice what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala is going to say. Two things, two reasons for this treatment of the people of innovation. He should be reprimanded so that he can stop. وَيَكُفَّ النَّاسُ عَنْهُ وَعَنْ مُخَالَفَتِهِ. So that he can be stopped and so that the people can stop following him and mixing with him. So that the people, so our intent, or the intent of the people of knowledge, the intent of the people of knowledge in warning against an innovator is so that he can stop and so that the people do not follow him. What does he say? وَلَوْ لَمْ يَضُمْ وَيُذْكَرْ بِمَا فِيهِ مِنَ الْفُجُورِ وَالْمَعْصِيَةِ أَوْ الْبِدْعَةِ لَاغْتَرَّ بِهِ النَّاسُ. He said, if he's not reprimanded, and his mistakes, that which he's upon of sin and evil or innovation, notice sin, innovation, because we spoke about Lewis and we spoke about Shadid. If he's not mentioned, or if he's not reprimanded, and that which he's upon of sin, evil, and innovation, if it's not mentioned, the people would be deceived. The people would be deceived. And it's possible that some of the people would begin to do his actions, and it increases. And he increases. وَأَيْضًا هُوَ وَيَزْدَادُ أَيْضًا هُوَ جُرْأَةً وَفُجُورٌ وَمَعَاصِي. Likewise, he increases. If we don't reprimand him, if we don't warn the people from him, likewise, he himself increases in his boldness, his sin, his evil. فَإِذَا ذُكِرَ بِمَا فِيهِ انْكَفَّ وَانْكَفَّ غَيْرُهُ عَنْ ذَلِكَ. But if we inform the people of that which is present in this open sinner or open innovator, if we inform the people of that which is present in him, then he would stop, possibly, inshallah, that's the intention, and the others would not follow him. And they would not. وَغَيْرُهُ عَنْ ذَلِكَ وَعَنْ صُحْبَتِهِ وَمُخَالَطَتِهِ. The others would not befriend him, and likewise they would not mix with him. So they would not befriend him, and they would not mix with him. This is the intent. This is why there's a clarification. We don't want people seeing or understanding that there's some type of unity. Okay, maybe we should, maybe we can read from them, maybe we can take from them, maybe we can attend their lectures. Likewise, the open sin. Okay, so there's no problem in doing this. There's no problem in, no, we don't want the people to follow innovation, disbelief, nor sin. So the benefit is for the person, and the benefit is likewise for the people. Likewise, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned, فإن من كان مظهرا للفجور أو البدع يجب الإنكار عليه ونحيه عن ذلك وأقرب مراتب الإنكار حجره لينتهي عن فجوره وبدعته. He said, so if a person is public with their sins or their innovation, it is mandatory that he is reprimanded so that he can stop this. And the closest or the lowest level of admonishment is that he should be migrated from. He should be forsaken so that he can stop his sins and his innovation. So that he can stop his sins or his innovation. Then he goes down to say, فَإِنَّ الدَّاعِيَ أَظْهَرَ الْمُنْكَرِ, because the individual who is public with it, he has shown his evil. He has shown his evil. فَاسْتَحَقَّ الْإِنْكَارَ عَلَيْهِ. So and he deserves to be reprimanded. He deserves to be admonished. He deserves to be what? To be refuted. He deserves to be refuted. So this is some of the speech of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, which is present in his Majmu' al-Fatawa. Present in his Majmu' al-Fatawa. So the issue that I was mentioning on that audio is the obligation of clarification. Is the obligation of clarification so that people are not deceived. I mean, Farrakhan himself is mentioning unity, the spirit of unity. And we know the individual is upon disbelief. We know the individual is a disbeliever. So what about the individual, Farhad White, who gives a lecture and there's praise and the statement of unity, but we don't hear any type of refutation of their belief. We don't hear any type of refutation of their belief. Likewise, it was mentioned by Sheikh Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymeen, rahimahullah ta'ala, about clarification of the truth. And he mentioned about the ulama. He said, وَالْعُلَمَاء إِذَا بَيَّنُوا الْحَقِّ وَلَوْ لَمْ يَكُنْ مِنْ ذَلِكَ إِلَّا أَنَّ النَّاسِ يَعْرِفُونَ أَنَّهُمْ عَلَى بَاطِلٍ. He said, when the ulama, the people of knowledge, when they clarify the truth, even if there's the only benefit that there is, even if the only benefit that is derived from it is that the people realize that they're upon falsehood. The scholars, people of knowledge, they clarify the mistakes. So even if the people don't accept it, but at least they know they're upon batil. At least they know they're upon batil. So وَإِنْ انْتَفَعَ أَمْ لَمْ يَنْتَفِعْ هَذَا أَعْظَمْ مَنْفَعَةً. Whether they benefit, whether they don't benefit, this is the greatest of benefit. What is the greatest of benefit? That the clarification has been made. The greatest of benefits is that the clarification has been made. Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned the covenant that He took from the people of knowledge. So He said the greatest of benefits is that the clarification has been made. لأن العلماء إذا سكتوا عما كان عليه الناس من مخالفة الحق ظن الناس أن هذا الصواب وأنه الحق فيستمرون عليه to the end of his speech rahimahullah ta'ala. He said, because the scholars, the people of knowledge, if they are silent as it relates to the mistakes of the people, others, or them themselves, the people themselves that are upon batil, or others, would believe that they are correct. They would believe that they are correct and that it's the truth. So they continue to do those actions. That's important. You have to clarify for the people the mistakes so that they know, they understand, they realize that they're upon error. But to be silent about their errors, especially as they associate themselves with you. Like we said, Louis Farrakhan, thanking Tahir, praising him, and saying this is the spirit of unity. This is incorrect. He's associating himself with you. You can't say, and like some of the brothers mentioned, so that means, and we'll discuss that in detail, So that means that we have to free ourselves from any praise. I didn't say the praise. I didn't say free yourself from the praise. I'm saying free himself from the individuals and their belief. Clarify their mistakes. Clarify their belief. Not the praise. Forget about the praise. The praise means nothing. I'm talking about what does he intend by that? What does Louis Farrakhan intend by that? What does he intend by that? When the people of innovation praise a person of the Sunnah, and they said this indicates the spirit of unity, what do they intend by that? That's what's important. That is the focus. That is the focus. Likewise, it was mentioned by Sheikh Abdulaziz bin Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala. He said, فَلَا يَجُوزُ لِأَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ السُّكُوتُ وَتَرْكُ الْكَلَامِ لِلْفَاجِرِ وَالْمُبْتَدِعِ وَالْجَاهِلِ. He said, and that statement by Sheikh Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymeen, rahimahullah ta'ala, that statement was in his explanation of Bulugh al-Maram. In his explanation of Bulugh al-Maram, the 5th volume, the page 239. Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, it is not permissible for the people of knowledge to be silent and not speak about the sin, the open sinner, not warn, admonish, clarify the mistakes of the open sinner and the innovator and the ignorant person. He said, it's not permissible. فَلَا يَجُوزُ لِأَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ السُّكُوتُ وَتَرْكُ الْكَلَامِ. It's not permissible for them to be silent and not speak about the open sinner and the innovator. It's not permissible. فإن هذا غلط عظيم ومن أسباب انتشار الشر والبدع واختفاء الخير وقلته وخفاء السنة. سبحان الله. Sheikh Uthaymeen, Sheikh Abdulaziz bin Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, in his Majmu', page 6, volume 6, page 53, he said, it is not permissible for the people of knowledge to be silent and abandon their speech about the open sinner and the innovator and the ignorant person, because sometimes an ignorant person can cause a lot of fitna, especially when an ignorant person speaks about great affairs in the Muslim Ummah, like we see these days. So it's not permissible. For indeed, this is a tremendous mistake. It is a tremendous calamity, and it is from the reasons why evil and innovation spread. It is from the reasons why evil and innovation spread, and the good becomes less and decreases, and the Sunnah becomes unknown. The Sunnah becomes hidden. The Sunnah becomes unknown. The Sunnah becomes foreign. Because why? Because the people of knowledge are silent. فالواجب على أهل العلم أن يتكلموا بالحق ويدعو إليه وأن ينكروا الباطل ويحذروا منه. What does he say? He said, so it is mandatory upon the people of knowledge to speak with the truth and to call to the truth and to reprimand and warn against the evil. And warn against the evil. ويجب أن يكون ذلك عن علم وبصيرة. And it's mandatory that this is based on knowledge and understanding. Knowledge and wisdom. That was the statement of Sheikh Abdulaziz bin Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala. Now, so, as we can see, and if the brothers needed clarity, this is the clarity. The clarity is that which was intended and that which was said about Tahir freeing himself. I did not say Tahir frees himself from the praise. And if I said it, that's not what was intended. That's not what was intended if I said it. But to the best of from that which I can recollect, I did not say Tahir has to free himself from the praise. I said Tahir has to free himself from these people. Why? Because that which the people hold of kufr, yani Farrakhan, and that which the people hold of open sin, yani Shadid Muhammad. Yani Shadid Muhammad, and the most recent, and the most prominent of that open sin is his call to racism. Planting the seeds of racism. Now, let's move on to talk about that in brief. Because the individuals are challenging me. And to be honest, once again, I don't care about refutations against me, nor anyone to challenge me. I don't care about that. I'm talking about preserving and defending Islam and the Sunnah, Tawheed and the Sunnah. when an individual says, and like we said, to plant the seeds of bigotry and racism, we should understand that we are teachers. We should understand that we are teachers. Part of being a teacher is that you تربي الناس, and you cultivate the people. When you constantly mention the black Muslim, black lives, we need to do for our own. We need to select scholars, or we need to view scholars from our own spectacles, not the spectacles of people that don't look like us. This is clear examples of bigotry. This is clear examples of bigotry. So, and greater than that, more recently, where Shadid Muhammad mentioned about, and once again, I'm not attacking someone's character, I'm attacking that which the individual has mentioned, which is in opposition to our deen. Where Shadid mentioned about his anger when he met our brother Abu al-Abbas Musa Richardson, and the fact that Musa Richardson has written refutations against the Nation of Islam, his anger and what he felt at that time, he voiced it himself. Why doesn't Musa focus on other things, white supremacy and the like of that? Why is he focused on the Nation of Islam? My dear brothers, does that mean that in order for us to accept a refutation, and in order for us to consider a refutation, in order for a person to write a refutation, they should only focus on the ills of their race? They should focus on the ills of their race? Does that mean that? Where does this come from? This is foreign. This is foreign to our deen. And walillahi alhamd, when recently I spoke to Sheikh Ali Haddadi, Hafizullah Ta'ala, and I asked him about that statement. He said that is clear. That is a clear trait of racism and bigotry. Because it is, my dear brothers and sisters. We do not care. We do not care the race of the scholar who has refuted the people of innovation, the disbelievers and the like. We do not care about the race of the scholar. That has nothing to do with the refutation. And if that was the case, we would have to go way back to the first refutations of Islam and compare to see, or investigate to see, was it a black or an Arab guy? Where did this come from? This is foreign to our religion, my dear brothers. At any rate, when I asked Sheikh Ali Haddadi, Hafizullah Ta'ala, that question, and he responded that this is a trait of bigotry, he said that there is, and Jazahullahu Khairan, he reminded me that there's a book that was authored by Sheikh Abdul Salam bin Burjis, Rahimahullah Ta'ala, which is something of the title of the narrations of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam condemning racism, and I'm paraphrasing the title of the book. And he said this is a very good book on this topic. Sheikh Ali al-Haddadi, Hafizullah Ta'ala, he said this is a very good book on this topic. And he said it should be translated and spread. And I said it is translated. In fact, it was translated by the brothers in Grand Rapids. The brothers Jazahumullah Khairan years ago. Ma'az al-Qurashi, they translated the book. And then he said, he told me something which is very prominent. He said that Sheikh Abdul Salam bin Burjis, Rahimahullah Ta'ala, the reason why he wrote that book was because of bigotry that he witnessed here in Saudi Arabia. He said, Sheikh Abdul Salam bin Burjis, Rahimahullah Ta'ala, was in a gathering of students of knowledge. He was in a gathering of students of knowledge. And in that gathering, Sheikh al-Albani, Rahimahullah Ta'ala, and some of his work on a particular subject, he didn't mention to me the subject. Sheikh al-Albani, Rahimahullah Ta'ala, and his opinion or some of his works were mentioned. And likewise, Sheikh Rabi' and some of his works or refutations were mentioned. And the people in that gathering began to mock and ridicule and reject the speech of Sheikh al-Albani, and likewise they began to do the same thing with Sheikh Rabi'. And Abdul Salam, Rahimahullah Ta'ala, Sheikh Abdul Salam, Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he became very upset. He became enraged at how they were rejecting the speech of these two scholars. And then Sheikh Abdul Salam bin Burjis, Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he responded and he said, the reason why you're rejecting and ridiculing the opinions of Sheikh al-Albani is because he is non-Arab Albanian. And the reason why you're rejecting and ridiculing the opinion of Sheikh Rabi' is because he's from the south. This is racism. Sheikh Abdul Salam bin Barjis, rahimahullah ta'ala, on the spot. Sheikh Ali said, he refuted him and said, this is racism, this is bigotry. You want to reject the speech of a sheikh, of an alim, built on proofs and evidences. You want to reject it because he is not from our people. And you want to reject the speech of another alim who's from our people because he's not from our province. This is bigotry and racism. Then Sheikh Ali said, then Sheikh Abdul Salam bin Barjis went home and he wrote a complete research paper on racism in Islam. He said, so that book is very important and prominent. And walillahi alhamd, that story that Sheikh Ali Hafizahullah Ta'ala told me was very important. Because this is something that the brothers and sisters need to realize. This constant mention of the black Muslim and our people, and the black Muslim and our people, this constant mention of this is planting the seeds of bigotry. It's planting the seeds of bigotry. And it's something foreign to the people of the Sunnah. It's something foreign to the people of the Sunnah. The Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum, and during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ayyartahu bi ummihi, when Abu Dharr al-Ghafari radiallahu ta'ala anhu said about Bilal, that you're the son of a black woman, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not take any, have you ridiculed him because of his mother? Have you ridiculed him because of his mother? إِنَّكَ إِمْرِئٌ فِيكَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ. Verily, you are a person. You have ignorant ways. You have ignorant traits. The Prophet immediately reprimanded Abu Dharr, one of the famous and one of the most knowledgeable companions. The Prophet immediately reprimanded him and admonished him because he's calling to the ways of Jahiliyyah. Because he's calling to the ways of Jahiliyyah. And because of that, I remind my brothers and I encourage my brothers and sisters to refer back to that treaty. Because, walillahi alhamd, like I said, it was translated years ago by the brothers in Grand Rapids. May Allah bless them